Hello, and welcome to Skype Academy Presents Auto Attendant or Cloud PBX Auto Attendant. I'm Cornel Bruns. I'm a Senior Customer Engineering Architect within the Customer Experience and Deployment team. For today, when we talk about Cloud PBX Auto Attendant, these are the key learnings. Please note that Cloud PBX AA for this time is only for Skype for Business Online. The auto attendant can be a virtual receptionist for any organization. It does require Cloud PBX licensed users, so E3 and Cloud PBX or E5. For those people that want to be a target for the Cloud PBX auto attendant, it can be used to channel calls to groups and individuals. And the auto attendant can route to users homed in Skype for Business Online with the Cloud PBX license. PSTN calling license is optional, and additional scenarios will be released once we move further into our general availability. For today, we'll do a quick intro into Auto Attendant. We'll talk about how to deploy, how to operate, and how to migrate. Please note that this is a point-in-time view. We're recording in March 2017. We describe all of the features and functionality as of today, but note that Office 365 is going through ongoing innovation. This means that we push updates at an irregular basis, and we'll make sure to always get the latest features out to you. If you go to aka.ms/sa-org-aa, you will always find the latest version of this training. And you can also go to aka.ms/Skype Academy for all of the Skype Academy trainings. So let's start with an intro into Auto Attendant. Why would you want an Auto Attendant? So the Auto Attendant can be an interactive virtual receptionist for your company. This means that your operator that's currently receiving these calls, they can be relieved of these simple chores and can now focus on the more advanced tasks that they might do during the day. It also sorts the incoming calls, freeing up first line, so it can help you organize calls for sales and direct them to the appropriate departments. It also makes your company a little bit more friendly. If people come in, they get asked a single question, and after answering that single question, they immediately get put into the right department. That makes your company more accessible and more friendly. So what do they do? It's an automated interactive system for incoming calls. So if you look at the picture, you can see a call come into the mainline number. Please note that the mainline number must be configured as a service number. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And this auto attendant will then ask some questions like name the department you want to be assigned to, or name the person you want to be connected to. At that point, you make a choice and you get referenced and redirected to that specific either department or person. You can interface this with either a call queue like the entire sales department or auto attendants. For instance, the sales department auto attendants, specific users, or direct to voicemail. So what's the experience for someone dialing in? So we do have different experiences during and outside of business hours. So during business hours, the experience could be something like, welcome to Contoso. Please type or say the name of the person or department you're trying to reach, followed by a pound key. Outside of business hours, it could be, welcome to Contoso, we're currently closed and please leave a voicemail, and then we'd redirect you to voicemail. Your speech is configurable using either text-to-speech or uploading your own. And the options are configurable. You can type the name, say the name, type the department number, or you can say the department number you want to be forwarded to. You can use DTMF for additional options. And the operator can be a Cloud PBX enabled user, a call queue, an auto attendant, or voicemail. So how does dial by name work when you're using DTMF? So it will ask you to reach your party by name, press the corresponding number keys to enter part or full name, use 0 to indicate space, when finished press pound. Please note that this is configurable, So if you choose to do your own greeting and your own introduction, make sure that you include things like 0 for space and pound key to be to search. So when looking for Ben, you would type in 236, then the pound key, which basically means Ben. It will tell you, hey, there are either there are too many matches. If there are too many matches, it will tell you there are too many matches. You need to be more specific. If there are a fixed number of matches, less than 9, it will tell you, well, and in this example, they're doing Ben 0 Joe pound. It would name all the people that match Ben space Joe. So Benedict Jones, Ben Johnson, but also Joanna Benedict, because we search first name, last name, and last name, first name. You can press 1, 2, or 3 to connect to the correct person, and you'll be redirected. If it doesn't work after 3 times, they will redirect you to the operator. So dial by name using speech recognition. To reach your party, say it now or press the corresponding number key. So we know this from before. You can say Benedict. At that point, it would list all of the Benedicts within the organization. So Benedict Jones, but also Joanna Benedict. We will show you up to 5 matches in this case, and you can select the one that you want. After you've selected the one that you want, you get redirected or transferred to the correct person that you were trying to reach. You can also do multi-level options. So you can nest menu options inside a different menu option. In the example, we have services, press or say 2, and then services has their own options 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then 3, directory search, also has their own numbers. So you can make this super complicated if you want to. Please note that people don't really like getting asked a lot of questions. So make sure when you're configuring this, you don't overdo it. So what will work with dial by name? So we're at general availability right now. So which is what GA means. So when you're searching for someone, you can find all the online Skype for Business users, and they can be homed in any of the tenant's regions if you've deployed regionally hosted meetings. They don't need a PSTN calling license to be reached. They don't need a PSTN number, and they don't need enterprise voice. They do need a Cloud PBX license. On-premises Skype for Business users with Cloud PBX, with on-premises PSTN connectivity via the existing pool or CCE, or perhaps an external PSTN number, those cannot be reached within the product right now. So our auto-attendant dial scopes, this is a new functionality that we've recently released after we completed our beta. One of the feedback portions was that we don't want the auto-attendant being able to search the entire tenant. So by default, we will search the entire tenant. So the entire Active Directory with the Cloud PBX enabled users. So let's say you want to exclude certain people. Maybe you want to exclude the board of directors. You can do that to either search within a certain group of people or exclude a certain group of people. With this, you should be able to deploy this and exclude the people you don't want to have found using directory search. So what are your search options? You can use both DTMF and speech. It will search first name and last name or first name, just the first, just the last, or partial searches. You can also do a partial first and partial last name, which is actually pretty nice to do. So Mar space John will get Mary Jones. Please note that any partial search can only be done by DTMF. So there are some limitations when talking about dial by name. So the name recognition with speech is not available if your Azure Active Directory has more than 50,000 users in it. If you have more than 50,000 users, it will fall back to DTMF. So search will still work, but it will require it will require DTMF search. The voice commands, however, will be available to people using the auto attendant, even if you have more than 50,000 users. So we also have the concept of operators. Those are the fallback. That's the fallback mechanism that you can always go back to when you're inside the auto operator. The operator can be an online Skype for Business user with a Cloud PBX license. They don't need a PSTN number or PSTN calling. However, note that many operators will take the call and then redirect the call to the appropriate destination. This might be a mobile phone, and that can only be done if then the operator is licensed for PSTN calling. So while it's not a requirement, it might be a need for your company. Call queues and voicemail are also valid operators, so people can leave a voicemail if they're having trouble with the auto attendant. The on-premises Skype for Business users or Cloud PBX users that use on-premises PSTN connectivity, either via the existing pool or CCE, those cannot be an operator. Also, on-premises object, for example, response group service groups, they cannot be operators at this point in time. So which languages do we support? We actually, you're able to set one language per auto attendant. So if you want a French and an English auto attendant, you will need 2 service numbers and 2 separate auto attendants. The system voices female will support speech to text and text to speech, and you can do custom greetings and menu prompts. The speech recognition is available in 14 languages. They can be disabled, so to force DTMF, you can always use DTMF as a fallback. There are custom voice commands if you, for instance, have custom menu options like sales. It will allow for hands-free system navigation. So these are the languages that we support right now at our general availability. So what do you need to know before you go deploy? One very important thing is that if you're using the default configuration, your auto tenant will search the entire tenant. This does mean that by default, someone could go into the auto tenant, search for your CEO, and get transferred to them. This is something you would need to configure. We strongly recommend actually that you configure this. You also need service numbers. Service numbers are high volume incoming call capable numbers. They can be requested. There's a limited supply per customer and can handle a large amount of calls. They can be requested in a similar manner as user numbers. Service numbers can be toll-based and toll-free. Toll-based means that the dialer is calling. Toll-free means that the company being dialed is paying. If you want to offer toll-free numbers, you will need to set up PSTN consumption billing. If you want to know more about this assignment of numbers, go to aka.ms/sa-orgaa-sn. So how do we deploy auto attendant? So first of all, you must make sure you meet requirements. So you must have E5 or E3 and Cloud PBX licensing. If you want to service toll-free numbers, you must have PSTN consumption billing enabled. So the general availability was at end of March 2017, and that is today. So happy to announce auto tenant and call queues, they're both in general availability. So they're available in your tenant today and you can start using them. So looking at the deployment scenario where you have this auto tenant that can search by name or transfer to somewhere following by pound key or using speech to text, how do we go about deploying this? So first of all, we must get a service number. You can request a new service number. They're available in 90 plus countries. They're not the same as a PSTN calling number. If you have an existing PSTN calling number and you want to reuse this as a service number, you must create a ticket with Office 365 support. It must be ported from a normal number to a service number. You can also port service numbers online. You cannot use any phone numbers provided by on-premises PSTN calling or Cloud Connector Edition. So once you have this service number available, you should assign PSTN service numbers to a new auto attendant. You can enable speech recognition, who the operator should be. You can also configure the hours of operation. How should you handle the calls during business hours and how should you handle the calls after business hours? And you can also use the dial scope to limit the search that the auto attendant can perform. There's also flexible call flow. This means that you can either disconnect or redirect when certain thresholds are met. But you can also go to the menu options and dial by name and can configure any of these capabilities. So business hours, you can use little blue rectangles and you can color them for an open hours, and if they remain gray, this means you're closed. By default, auto attendant is available 24/7, but you can use custom to define those hours. You can set the time in 30-minute intervals, and you can do multiple breaks during a day. So the dial scope will limit the search area and can include or exclude specific groups or people. So how do you redirect a call in auto attendant? So what happened in this example? What happens to the call after the greeting? You can either redirect the call, which means you can send them to an online Skype for Business user, and they must have the Cloud PBX user license. You can send it to a call queue, or you can send it to a different auto attendant. So how do we send this to the voicemail? That's actually quite easy. Use a specific Skype for Business client, sign in, and hard forward all calls to voicemail. Then forward that auto attendant to that specific user. So what are the menu options? You can create a custom prompt using text to speech, or you can upload your own file. Then you can enable dial by name or not for this specific auto attendant or this specific level. And then you can also create menu options. For instance, 0 for an operator, 1 for sales, 2 for services. At that point, you can then redirect that to a call queue, an auto attendant, or an operator. The dial by name can be used together. It's called directory search. You can use it together with the custom menu options. So in the menu prompt, you can create a custom prompt, and that should be used to instruct your caller how to navigate the system. What can they say? How can they use the touchtone, the DTMF? How can they get to where they need to be? You can upload an audio file or create text to speech. Create this in the language that is set for the auto attendant. If you have a French set auto attendant, make sure all the speech is set to French. It will not be auto-translated, so you can't set the auto attendant to French, then type in something English, and wait for it to translate, because it won't. If menu options change, you will need to update the prompt. So what's one of the other things that you can do? You can actually create interactive flows to guide the callers. So out of the box, we would do operator, repeat, back, and dial by name. You can also add your own custom options and get to them using DTMF or voice commands. So to add or remove menu options, you would press the 1 key that you need. In our example, it's 1. You would then select what it needs to transfer to, which in our case would be the call queue. Once the call queue is selected, it will show you the different call queues that you have, and you select the call queue that you want. You could have users, call queues, auto attendants, or voicemail to which to redirect. Once you've selected the sales department, your option is ready to go. So how do you do custom voice commands in menu? Every name is a voice command. So if you type in sales, then sales would be the voice command. If you would type in sales department, then sales department is the voice command. People could also say 1. Please note that speech to text, so the recognition, will always be done in the language that is configured for the auto attendant. So if the language is set to French, all input must be French. So how do we operate this auto attendant? So in the Skype for Business admin panel, there's a tab called call routing. If you open that, that's exactly where you created these auto attendants. You can select the auto attendant and you'll have the option to test, edit, or delete the auto attendant. To test, you can press the test button and it will do a call. If you're testing from your own tenant, it will revert back to a VoIP call, but we would always recommend to place a call to the external facing number of the auto attendant to ensure that it's functioning correctly. So how do we migrate? So first you must do an inventory of on-premises auto attendants. Once you have done an inventory, you need to compare the functionality from the on-premises auto attendant functions to the Cloud PBX auto attendants. Do they provide the functionality you need? Can you actually migrate? Can you adapt the functionality or should you wait? After you've done the inventory and you know you can migrate, you must start a port of service numbers. Please note that during porting, the service numbers might be unavailable for a little while. So this is something that you would need to plan carefully. If you want to, you can temporarily get some service numbers so you can stage all of the auto attendants so that once you're ready to migrate and all of your service numbers have been ported to the cloud, you can then immediately assign them to an auto attendant. So a summary and resources. So our key learnings. We learned that auto attendant is for Skype for Business Online only right now. Auto attendant can be a virtual receptionist. It requires a Cloud PBX licensed users. It can be used to channel calls to groups and individuals. And they can route to users home to Skype for Business Online enabled with Cloud PBX. PSTN calling is optional and additional scenarios will be released post general availability. I've included the TechNet articles for auto attendants, also where the existing call queues training is and other trainings, where the service numbers background can be read. If you have any feedback, go to skypefeedback.com and provide feedback. If you want to participate in a Skype preview program, go to skypepreview.com. It's also important for you to know that we have a community around SOF. So if you go to aka.ms/SOF community, this is where me and my colleagues will be and many other people to help you in your journey. And we also have a blog for SOF that will tell you about the latest trainings and all the changes that are there in SOF. That's it for the auto attendant training, and I wanted to thank you for your attention.